Righto, g'day internet, and welcome to day 3 of Sampey Builds a Microhouse. Today we're off the selfie cam. I think you've seen enough of my ugly face, and I want to show you some stuff on site and a few other things today. So I've done a little raking and cleared a site here. I'm in the back of the section, as you can see. So the first thing we're looking at is, you'll notice I've laid out a corner on the ground here of the unit, which is a metre from the fence line with the neighbours. So for those of you who don't know much about sort of zoning laws and things like that, even when you are building a garden shed and stuff like that, most councils here in New Zealand have laws somewhere around the range of you must keep structures at least a metre away from the fence. There are exceptions to the rule, including small structures and shed sized things like this, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that anyway. So I've got a bit of move around space behind my little unit here while I'm building in particular. And the other thing is, your fence line here, usually about 6 feet or 2 metres roughly, has an angle that runs off that, which you must stay inside of. So just make sure no one's looking. I'm going to show you the edge of the neighbour's roof there. That's a good example. So basically, straight off the fence line, that roof's on that pitch angle, not just because it's a good pitch angle for a roof, but also because that's probably the exact angle under which you must, it's an invisible pyramid that starts at the top of the fence line over all properties, and in residential urban areas, suburban areas like this in New Zealand, that would be L1 zone as it's referred to, and each compass bearing has an angle to it that creates, off the four corners of your property, creates an invisible pyramid over the property, which you cannot exceed with primary structures. Now fortunately my structure is only about 2.4 metres tall at the tallest, so I'm automatically going to be under that, certainly with this metre standoff from the fence. But it's a bit of useful information anyway if you want to know things about what you can and can't do on land. Now the other thing I've done here obviously is the tape measure is pulled out to 2.4 metres, and the rake is set there at the corner, from the corner of the rake there to that little bit of random stick I've got on the ground. That's our width. When I said I was building a really small micro house, I wasn't kidding. So my actual floor framing is going to be 2 wooden shipping pallets, which will give me a floor plan of 2.4 metres by 1.2 metres roughly. So it's very small, but I have done some extensive testing and design on this and stuff, and because I'm a wee dude, I can actually fit into a pretty damn small space. And I am using a mezzanine sleeper under which has got a sit-down only space for a desk area, because I'm an artist, and a few other bits and pieces like that. But long term it is theoretically possible, and I'm very confident I'm going to be able to pull it off to actually fit a micro kitchenette, or at least a small cooking area that's ventilated, and a very small toilet combo shower unit into that space, along with the small desk area, windows and doors, and the mezzanine sleeper. I know that sounds pretty freaking nuts, but I reckon I can do it, and I'm not famed for doing things the normal way. Now, the way we're going to face this thing, that is going to be my view of my front door area. As you can see, I'm behind a bunch of trees here at the back of my mate's property. So if I spin around this other way, look over here, there's a sort of, well, eventually that'll be a nice area. As you can see, there's a bunch of junk behind that flax plant, because I raked out a bunch of crap this morning from this area that was all just weeds and shit, that'll dry out and pack down. I'll probably get in there and chop it up a bit more and make it neater. So basically I'm surrounded by little bushes and stuff, and then I've got my fence line. Fence line wise though, that's where the back of the house, no windows or anything's going to be, so I'm not going to see any of that. I'm going to see is this way forward, and then we'll probably gravel the ground around the house and do a little landscaping and stuff later on, maybe put a wee deck in and things like that. So we've left a bit of space so I can do that. There's, from the corner there's this sort of a metre to half a metre that I'll easily be able to fit in on this sort of brackety ground here and whatnot under the nice sweet tree. So that's great. Okay, the next bit I'm going to show you is inside, so I'm just going to pause the video. Alrighty, just borrowing the team's kitchen table here. So as you can see, we've got a flash looking box there, which that one hasn't been opened and unpacked, but this is what you get in it. So this is the electronics and solar option I decided to go with. It's not the cheapest you can buy. Each of these kit sets, if you buy them by themselves separately, are about $210, which is, for those of you who don't know, a lot to pay actually for the sort of solar setup kind of stuff. But I did buy it for a shop, full guarantees, all that kind of thing, and I just walked in and bought it. It's a lot simpler than ordering things from China, particularly if you don't know a lot about electronics and stuff. I do, but I'm assuming that, as I said in the day one video, I'm trying to come up with ways to do designs and things like this for the sort of stuff that are really simple to people who have no experience with engineering, electronics, building, or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, you get a box like that. If you buy 2 of them at once, Car has this cool thing where I bought these, where the more of stuff you buy the more you get discounted. So I actually got the 2 boxes of stuff for $375, so under $400 for my complete solar setup. So what that contains is each of the boxes has got 2 separate LED lights with a long extension cord on them and a switch, as you can see over there. We also come with this set of stuff, which I probably won't use very often, but this is a obviously 240 volt plug-in and a power pack converter for charging up the main battery bank, which is over here. And the main battery bank also contains the outputs for the lights, a separate solar panel plug in there. There's a 12 volt output on these as well, I think. There was some mention made of it in the stats. Oh, there we go. On the side here, there's 12 volt DC output. I'm going to assume that's a cigarette lighter socket. I haven't checked that. Yep. I probably won't use a lot of that for reasons I'll explain in a minute. And a USB output, which is going to be my primary source of power. Now, I had 2 of these battery banks, so that'll give me 2 USB outputs. And then, of course, a solar panel, which is very small. This is a 5 watt panel. But with good placement in the sun, with 2 of these panels, one running each of these battery setups and stuff, you should be able to, once it's fully charged, so I'll probably charge it every now and then off the wall. I read the instructions and they recommend that actually every now and then you do a full cycle charge using 240 volt power if it's available, or a car or something like that, just to cycle the battery through. This uses quite an old battery technology, so SLA batteries, so for those of you who don't know, that's car battery type technology. But obviously a much smaller one. As you can see, this is the size of my hand. That's the size of this entire thing. So inside here is a little computer that controls all your charge processes with the solar panel and other inputs, and also does all the power management to output power to your lights, which have switches, and your USB, which you can obviously plug in. So the reason I'm going for primarily, as you can see, 5 volt system that runs on, the lights are all 5 volts, and so is the USB. But here is one of the things I encourage people to do if you're wanting to build a tiny house or get into solar power and things like that, is cut down on the kind of devices you're using. Now for people who do like high-end music stuff, or they're really into their gaming or something, you're going to struggle to come across high-quality devices that are reasonably priced that will run on USB or 5 volts. But the rest of us don't have that problem. So me as an artist, I need access to the internet. I need to be able to look up information on arts thing, get reference off Google for various things I'm working on, look up, for instance, YouTube videos on tiny homes, things like this. And all of this I can do with a phone, the one that I'm filming with now. And then I've got some Bluetooth headphones that connect to it. They're very nice and good music quality as far as I'm concerned. When I like to build drones and little robots and stuff, I tend to run them on USB powered stuff. My point being, if at all possible, try and gear your whole life down to running on USB powered devices. Because if you do that, you only need a 5 volt output to power all your stuff and charge everything up, and that starts getting a lot easier. Look at the size of this panel. Like, most houses have several 200 or 300 watt panels on the roof. These are 5 watt. And I've got 2 of them. I have a total of 10 watts of power. Reasonably large battery, actually, inside the little doofer here. So once fully charged, between the 2 power packs, I've got pretty much almost a week's worth of lights, being able to power my cell phone, and various other bits of stuff without any solar at all once it's charged up. The idea being that we charge it up fully, and then the solar panels will just get enough sun during the day, even in winter, to just boost the charge back up based on how much I've used during the day and whatnot. If we do run into problems with that, then I'll do some electronics and sub extra panels into the system, or into one of the other inputs that we've got in this thing. It has where are we? Somewhere around here. It should be. Well, somewhere on it has to be. I haven't actually really read the instructions probably yet. Somewhere on it has to be a. I guess it's the solar panel input, an input for the charger, and that can take, I think it was anywhere between 16 and 23 volts. So yeah, that'll be right because of the solar panel. The advantage being with that basically I could say set up a windmill or a hydropower plant or any other sort of power system producing somewhere in the 12 to 20 volt, 4 volts of power range, and just jack it straight into this thing and charge up with it and stuff. So solar isn't my only power option. But these will be my primary battery arrays and stuff, which again, because I'm using USB, are just 2 little tiny, easy to pick up setups like that, which is relatively cheap, $400 to power an entire house for the lifetime of a solar panel and a battery. I'm looking at 10 years worth of power and functionality there, basically for free after the $400 initial outlay. It's a pretty good deal. And if you wanted to go really cheap, you can go online, you can research, you can learn about solar panels and batteries and power systems and chargers and all that kind of stuff pretty easily. And at that point, you're able to go online and do what I could have done. Go online for Banggood or some other sort of Chinese place like AliExpress or whatever and get panels for like a few dollars each and batteries for a few dollars each, and then wait for them to ship from China. And it's a bit of a pain in the neck, but you'll get it for like, if you shopped well, you could basically get everything I've got here, including the two sets, for probably like $150 or something, maybe 200, you know, so half the price I've paid. But you pay for convenience and the ability to, you know, if anything goes wrong with the stuff, I've got the receipt to go back into JCar and go, oh, your shit fucked up, and I'll get refunds or more gear. So yeah, I'm told by the people that at JCar and stuff, they sell a lot of these. They're really reliable, they work really, really well, and everyone loves them. So I'm looking forward to using them. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to show today. Obviously I got my shelves built the other day, and stacked a bit of gear in them and stuff just to sort of see, you know, here's everything I own plus a whole bunch of food. Beer, yes, beer, it's important. And I've got piles of empty shelf space here and stuff. So yeah, these two bookcases are plenty of storage for me, which is one of the reasons why I'm going to be able to build such a tiny, tiny space and live in it, because I need somewhere to sit and draw, somewhere to store my gear, somewhere to shit, somewhere to sleep, blah, 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 blah. And I've got very, very little stuff. So it's a lot simpler for someone like me to pack into this tiny little structure that I'm looking at creating. And for that, I get a lot more mobility, a lot more simplicity in construction, a lot more speed in construction, and of course the all-important cheap. So I think that'll be enough for me today. A little bit of a slightly shorter video. You guys have a good one, and I think this evening, hopefully all going well, my bro's sending up with a trailer in a few hours, and I think we're going to go and be able to get most of the construction wood, like the ply and framing and stuff that I need for the actual build, which will leave only the 2 pallet crates to resource from somewhere, and some windows and or doors, which I'm looking at, as I said the other day, looking on Trade Me to buy those. And I think I found a set of glassed, very small doors that I can actually wrap around one corner of the structure and then along one side, creating doors and windows all at once. And they've got this quite artistic way they've cut the glass and stuff. It'll look really cool and architectural, so hopefully I'll be able to get them. Anyway, that's enough from me. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you on day 4.